Hello again, everyone. It's August 13th, 2025. I'm in Utica, New York, looking at the Utica yard of the New York Susquehanna and Western. More specifically, we see the snowplow, and in the building there is currently housed locomotive 3040 along the Utica workhorse, which unfortunately has been out of service for the last few months. This morning I hope to catch the Utica local. They're using a CSX leased engine, number 4423, and I just thought I'd show everyone where 3040 is these days, because there's usually a question or two in the comments, where is 3040? And I've been doing this YouTube channel for over 10 years now, and 3040 has been prominently featured in many of my videos. We've been under sort of a heat wave of late, the last week, 10 days. Temperatures 10 to 15 degrees above normal, stretching into the 90s. And we've only got about a couple inches of rain the last 30 days. Expect to get some in the next couple of days, which will be good for my garden. Speaking of my garden, that's one of the reasons I haven't been videoing a lot this summer. And at the tail end of this video, I might include a little bit of video showing you my vegetable garden. Well, it's 2 days farther on, August 15th. The last segment, of course, was filmed on August 13th, and I don't think the crew worked that day. But I'm looking at the old foundation cement floor for the former West Shore freight house along Shenango Road in Utica, New York. The old West Shore came in from that direction. The boxcar and the bulkhead flat are on former West Shore track. The track on the other side beyond the West Shore is former NYO&W track, New York, Ontario and Western, of that road's Utica division. And that O&W track leads to New Hartford's Oneida Warehouse, where the crew is right now retrieving some boxcars. They'll head back here, hook on to the boxcar and bulkhead flat, and then make their way back down to the Utica yard. The O&W and West Shore were tied into the predecessor road, Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western, predecessor road to the Susquehanna. But of course the O&W most of it was abandoned, and large portions of the West Shore were similarly abandoned. This is at about milepost 232.8 or so of the West Shore line. The West Shore and the O&W met here at a diamond back in the day, but now the old West Shore and the O&W are tied. The O&W is tied into the old West Shore line, and from this point it's about half a mile to reach the main line of the NYS&W, the main line of its Utica-Binghamton branch. And the crew is shoving their train down the former O&W main of its Utica division. returning from the Oneida Container Warehouse on Campion Drive in New Hartford. They're going to pull up beyond what's referred to now as the O&W switch. The engine will move forward and pick up those two cars. And then they'll reposition their whole train on the runaround just past French Road, which is no more than a quarter mile from here. It's been close to 20 years. I don't know. 2024. French Road is just beyond the bridge. After they cross French Road, as I mentioned, they'll rearrange their train in the runaround. I'm not sure how the West Shore referred to this point. Again, about, I'd say, milepost 232.8 or 9. Because New Hartford and Utica swapped big parcels of land back in the early 20s, a little bit afterwards, so this might have been referred to as New Hartford or even New York Mills. I did see a photo of an old structure here labeled New York Mills. It was much smaller than this concrete foundation, however, which I'm told was either their passenger station or a freight house here at this point. And just a quick walk over here to, you can see the grass is really brown. Over the last 30 days, I doubt we've got 2 inches of rain. I had to water my garden quite a bit to keep my veggies happy. But this track here, of course, is West Shore. Now the West Shore main diverted off of this, follow the line of those telephone poles westward towards Vernon and towards the other stations down the line, which I think the line to Vernon, about 12 miles from here, was torn up in the early 70s, and the West Shore throughout upstate New York was abandoned piecemeal, I think early in the 70s and maybe a little bit beyond for some of the sections east of Utica. But the track that bends over here diverted off the West Shore main and went to New York Mills, where to this day the Susquehanna serves 3 customers: SCI Plywood, that boxcar came off of SCI Plywood's siding; Dye Highway, which receives steel, that bulkhead flat came off of Dye Highway, and they also serve Fountainhead Group with plastic pellets. So we're gonna jump ahead, maybe catch them doing a little bit of work on the runaround, and then hopefully as they head down Schuyler Street. Again, this is Shenango Road, so named because the Shenango Canal used to run right through here. The West Shore arrived here in 1888, I believe. The O&W, or its immediate predecessor, arrived here in the early 1870s. So as far as I'm aware, their trains would have had priority over the West Shore at the diamond that once existed here. I do believe there was a tower here at one point as well. And the pole line that you see stretching out to the left of the rail cars was alongside the main line of the West Shore, this time heading east through Utica. So I'm not sure what the crew was going to do. If they're going to shove those cars back to the yard or not and leave these two here. We'll see what develops. Well, as you can probably see by the long shadow I'm casting, we're not too far away from Sundown. Maybe about 45 minutes. About 3 hours, maybe a little bit more since the last segment. What the crew did was they backed onto the main and took those boxcars all the way down to Sangerfield, about 20 miles south of here, where they picked up 4 cars. Now they're going to back up, pick up these 2 cars, and head down Schuyler Street. And we'll catch them backing up here and then on the way down Schuyler Street. My sister and I were just about to have some dinner in Washington Mills. I figured maybe I missed the train or just waited too long. Didn't catch it in any event. Just as we were about to go in and grab a bite to eat, The train, we heard the train sounding its horn for the crossing in Washington Mills, and so we'll have to wait a little bit longer to have dinner. Not too much longer though. She's a good egg, my sister. I don't think she minds too awfully much that the dinner plans have been delayed just a little bit. Nice, comfortable night here in Utica. Low humidity, temperature in the high 70s. As mentioned earlier, these tracks are formerly of the West Shore Railroad. The West Shore Main crossed the former Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western at another diamond, back where the cars are right now that you can see. The one tank car is the Utica Main of the New York, Susquehanna, and Western, and these West Shore tracks used to cross those other tracks at a diamond. Of course, there was another tower here back in the day. Just had a nice conversation with the conductor. His name is Alan. Alan says his brother-in-law Joey watches the channel. So Joey, hello to you. It's been a long day for the crew. They're hoping to put it in the barn by 8 o'clock tonight. Should be able to do so. Now I'll just scurry ahead and catch them on Schuyler Street. So from Utica, New York, nearing Sundown, 13 minutes away from Sundown, this is Railroading Rambler saying thank you for watching the video. And until next time, we'll catch you all farther on down the line. Vitold sends his regards. Vitold just had a run-in with a deer recently. Not too dramatic, but he did want to give chase even though he's almost 12. It's the morning of August 16th, the day after the video that you just watched, the railroad video. And as mentioned, I'm going to give everyone just a quick tour of my two big gardens. It's a little dicey getting in this garden because I foolishly planted an acorn squash near the entrance. So, okay, managed to get in without crushing any of my squash plants. Anyhow, in this garden, I've got, believe it or not, 20 tomato plants and 6 summer squash, 5 butternut squash, and 2 acorn squash. I started the tomatoes a little late this year, but I expect we'll get a fairly good harvest. As we haven't been getting our last frost here until, well, until October. A butternut squash flower. Got a minor problem with cucumber beetles, which I've dealt with before. And here's a butternut squash that's just forming. Take a quick look at some of the summer squash. I planted the tomatoes a little too close to the summer squash plants. 2 varieties of summer squash, straight neck and crooked neck. I've already harvested about 10 of them. There's a crooked neck squash just starting out. And I had to put a new deer fence up earlier in the garden season. The other one fell into disrepair. And I thought, well, maybe the deer won't bother my garden, but that wasn't the case, as they munched on a few of the tomato plants and even the squash plants. So this fence put an end to their meddling. So this morning's harvest, 1 regular sized straight neck summer squash and a smaller summer squash, which I don't think was going to get any bigger than that for whatever reason. Okay, we'll go take a look at the other garden. Now it's just a question of a little dancing to get out of my garden without stepping on one of the squash plants. And then I'll just close it up right here and head over to the other one. My gate is secured by only the highest tech with this shock cord, which I found one day while walking Vitold. I do have 5 3x3 raised beds. Got eggplants, cucumbers, and tomatoes. I have 43, count them, 43 tomatoes this year, so I'll have plenty to give out to friends. You may notice that this raised bed has an oak tree growing in it, probably about 10 years old. A squirrel no doubt planted the acorn, and I kind of liked the look of it, so I don't think many gardeners would have an oak tree in their raised bed, but I'm one who does. So let's head into the other deer-proof garden. Take a look in here. More squash. That's a butternut that's forming. Squash on this side. Oh, and I've got a cedar tree on the other side of that of this particular garden. I never had the heart to hack it down, although I might have to trim it if I eventually. And 12 tomato plants here, along with a couple of pepper plants. These tomato plants got me started again gardening this year, believe it or not, because I'd not been too involved in the last 5 or 6 years. So I was going by a roadside stand in Kirkland, corner of Route 233, or Hardin Road as it's known, also known, and New York State Route 12B, and a person who sold rhubarb and plants through the years had some tomatoes out, only $1 per plant. So I ended up buying 12 from her, and then I began this latest gardening craze. So if any of you are gardeners, make a comment about how your garden's doing this year. As I mentioned in the main video, we've only got a couple inches of rain in the last 30 days, so I've been watering the gardens throughout the season, of course, but more so recently because they need to be watered. And I hear bees busily at work. So I'll head out of here. Careful not to step on any vines. Close the door. Say hello to my otter. And take a final look at my gardening endeavors this year, as I've got container plants, 8 peppers, 2 more tomato plants, another squash, 2 okras, and Vitold watching me, impatiently waiting me to take him out of here to head down to the office where we'll spend some time this morning. Right, Vitold? So from New Hartford, New York, this is Gardening Rambler saying thanks for watching the video. We'll catch you all later.